It's time for legal talk on eRadio with Hahn attorneys. And today, Merilynn du Plessis, Senior Associate Attorney from Hahn, joins me as we answer another listener's question about road traffic offences. When can I go to jail? How far can I go before I go to jail? Merilynn's going to explain it for us in an easy way to understand. First of all, let's say hello to her. Merilynn, how's it going?
It's going very well. It's always a pleasure to be with you all.
Absolutely. Likewise, Merilynn. So, Merilynn, our question this week from a listener, actually sent in last week or the week before, is about road traffic offences. When can I actually go to jail? So I'm thinking this person, probably has a few speeding tickets and they're wondering how far can they push it before they're actually locked up.
Okay, so let's, and that's actually is what we all want to know is how far can we go and when is it too far and it's too late? Okay. So, and I think that how we should deal with this is let's classify speed fines and offences separately. Right.
Okay.
So speed fines can lead to an on-the-spot arrest, but it can also just stay on an infringement notice basis. And what this means is, if practically speaking we are driving on the road, there will be a traffic sign that will indicate what the speed limit is, right? So we would know when I'm driving in this zone, I'm only allowed to drive at, let's say, 60 kilometers per hour. If you exceed that 60 kilometers an hour, you have what I would call a grace period. So between, let's say in this instance, 60 kilometers and 30 extra kilometers on that, when you're in that period or that speed limit, during that speed limit, you would not be arrested. You would, and this is now it becomes complicated. The recent implementation is the R2 system. And at the moment, R2 only applies to Johannesburg and Pretoria. But interestingly enough, we've just received news that by the end of this year, it would be applied in all provinces. So this means that should you exceed, let's say we take the example of 60 kilometers, and the Act says you have the grace period of an extra 30 kilometers. If you fall within that bracket, you would generally be notified through AUTO to say, okay, you have now exceeded the speed limit and now we're issuing a normal notice to you, and that's done through R2. And if you do not respond to that notice, you would be summoned, and that summons will then lie on your name, so that when a traffic officer does track you down and he sees that whole process has been complied with and you actually summoned to court, that's the only time that he can arrest you. Yes. So let's say you're driving, your traffic light, your traffic sign says to you, okay, here I'm allowed to drive 60 kilometers. Okay. Between 60 and I'll make it more practical. On a public road, which is a street, you cannot exceed more than 30 kilometers of the 60 kilometer limit. If you do, let's say now you're going on to 90 kilometers. Once you reached over 90, that becomes an offence, which means a traffic police officer can arrest you on the spot. But let's say, for instance, you're driving between 60 and 90 kilometers, and you haven't exceeded the 90 kilometers. You will then that's where the cameras catch you. The cameras will catch you, and then they'll later send you a speed fine. Does that make sense so far, Jan?
Yeah, I'm still following. Thank you. Thanks, Merilynn.
Okay. And so in relation to speed fines, if I can say in the grace period, you will not be arrested. Okay. It is when you exceed that grace period, like we said, when you go on to 90 kilometers, that's when it becomes an offense, and that's when an officer can arrest you. So all the other issues I deal with now will be considered as offences where officers are legally entitled to arrest you, and what a person should remember when the officers arrest you is that they have a power and a duty to make sure that our roads are safe and it doesn't create a risk to other people. So it is rather from that perspective that the officers are obliged to lock somebody up or arrest us. Okay. Now, my authorities for this would come from the National Road Traffic Act and the Criminal Procedure Act. And what I'll do, practically speaking, is I'll list them. And then we all are aware these are the things that we can be arrested for on the spot. And these will now be dealt with as your offences. So your offences, one is when you exceed that limit that I've just spoken about. The second is when you leave a scene of a crash, which you are involved in, without first checking the injuries or damages to property of vehicles around you. The next is reckless, negligent, or inconsiderate driving. So that one is very vague. And a general rule that the officers have to oblige by is that, remember that if they see that your conduct on the road can impose a risk on other people's lives or property, they are obliged to arrest you. But they can only arrest you if they actually see you in the act. Okay. And if they don't see you in the act and they have a suspicion that you are going to perform the act, then they need to arrest you. Okay. So going back to that, and that's what a person must have in mind when understanding when an officer can arrest you. The next is driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, excessive overloading, and the next one's very interesting and something that we should note, is failing to license your vehicle. This includes a fraudulent license disc or any document or number plates. Also, if your number plates are absent, or even, there's instances where you'll be driving, you'll see that, some number plates are scratched out. I saw it interestingly enough the other day. One number is scratched out. That's an immediate arrest offence. Okay.
Sure.
And then also refusing to comply with an order that any officer has given to you. And the general rule is, how do I know that it's a lawful instruction that is given me? This is what I've just said to you again. One must consider obstruction of justice and the risk and the safety that you pose and your conduct poses on the road. My advice is that you should not resist arrest. I mean, the worst that can happen is that you can tell the officer that you will accompany him to the police station, and that's as far as it can go. And then once again, you can't be arrested for an impending speed fine on your name already, unless a summons has been issued, and this is outside of the areas for now until the end of the year, outside of the areas of excluding Pretoria and Johannesburg. And when it falls into Pretoria and Johannesburg, then it has to follow the ARTU system, which is they'll first give you an infringement notice. Then they'll ask you to rectify it. And then if you haven't rectified, then they'll take further steps.
Yes, Merilynn, thank you so much. You covered the answer and more very, very well. Well done.
Thank you, Ian. I hope this helps everyone.
Absolutely. I've just learned a few things. Thank you so much, Merilynn, and take care.
It's a great pleasure, Ian. Have a great evening.
You too.
Are you or your business in trouble and struggling to find a solution? Call Hahn and Hahn Attorneys as we assist clients in finding solutions. We specialize in consumer and food law, commercial and construction law, forensic investigations and administrative law. Visit hahnlaw.co.za. That's HAHN. We assist clients nationwide. Hahn and Hahn Attorneys, because we care. Don't miss Legal Talk with Hahn and Hahn Attorneys, Wednesday mornings at 10 on eRadio.